Hi, everyone. Welcome to DBC Inc. Live. This is the free PV on Thursday night. I am Tara Martin, your host, and we have Joe Clark, Dr. Joe Clark, in the house today. We're super excited to have him and be able to share something exciting for us. Hopefully from his book, but if not, just something that he does in his district that he can share and hope it resonates. We have a special guest, Honey. She's been joining every Thursday night. She's being bashful. But Joe, go ahead and introduce yourself. And as you guys are joining us, tell us who you are and where you're from and what you do.
All right. Hey, I'm Joe Clark. I am the superintendent of the Nordonia Hills City School District. We're in Ohio, midway between Cleveland and Akron, about 3,500 kids, grades K to 12. This is my unbelievably 30th year in education, my 11th as a superintendent, and the author of the book, that I was fortunate enough to have the Dave Burgess Consulting published for me. If the dance floor is empty, change the song.
Exactly. I'm about to put it up on the screen too for anyone who has not seen the cover and has not read the book, but we love this book. It is so good. Joe, you just really got so personal in this book, but also shared so much great information for any leader, but honestly for anyone. I found that even if you weren't a superintendent, you weren't a principal, like you can all of us could relate to this book. So I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about the book, because every single comment over in the comment section, both now and tonight and into tomorrow, will enter you to win a free one of If the Dance Floor is Empty, Change the Song, folks.
Yes. Well, the title comes from my years as a mobile disc jockey. Hey, there's Dave. Hi, Dave. I spent 25 years plus as a DJ, weddings, parties, school dances. So that's where the title took me a while to learn that when I'd go to a gig and people weren't dancing, instead of blaming them, it was something I needed to change, And I take my life as a DJ, but also as a camp director and as a English teacher and a principal and a superintendent and the youngest of 11 kids. I have a lot of different kind of nutty experiences, and I put all those into stories that are great for professional growth, but also personal growth. And I'll tell you what I love most about my book, frankly. No research. You're not going to be bored. It's fun. You'll laugh a lot. You'll cry a little. But I think it's, especially summertime, if you want a summer book, this is a great one to take to the beach. It really is just a page turner, I think. I really enjoyed writing it, and a lot of people told me I enjoyed reading it. Oh, I think you might be muted, Tara. Your Honey hit your button.
Yeah, I had to mute. Honey was like going bananas. Sorry about that. Yes, I also agree that it's a page turner. It's such an easy read. And also what I love about it is it just feels like I'm talking to a friend. And I appreciate those kinds of books. I feel like oftentimes we're reading, and we're also having to take a bunch of notes and trying to remember it for later so we can apply it. I feel like your book is just something you just digest. Like the whole time you're reading it, you're just taking it all in. And so super excited about giving someone this awesome book. And thank you, Lisa, for joining us. Thanks, Dave. We're so excited to have you guys in the house. It is it's a funny book. And then there were moments like he said, that I was crying. It was like a little mix of both. So, Joe, I know we brought you on the show to share something exciting with us, something that we can take away and use right away. And I didn't know if you wanted to stick with that same topic, but I'm just going to let you take the show on the road and lead us where you want to lead us. We're excited about it.
Yeah, so it's not really from my book, but it kind of is. In my book, I talk a lot about vulnerability and how important it is to be vulnerable. And I talk about how, a leader, the 5 words every leader needs to know is, I'm sorry, I was wrong. And so I really delve into that about how, nobody's perfect. And people that are successful in life are those people that could admit failings. And so, so what I'm talking about tonight is this thing called a resume of failure. And we all have resumes, right? We put them together, all the great things that we've done. If you look at my professional resume, it looks great, right? 30 years in education, lots of different jobs, published, and I'm a college professor and all that. Everybody has those kinds of resumes, but really, those are kind of like Facebook fluff, right? I mean, everybody on Facebook, when people put stories on Facebook, you always know there's something that's not quite as good as what they're putting on Facebook. And so I was reading this book. This is a book called Rebel Talent by Francesca Gino. And she talked about this idea of a resume of failure. And I love this idea because what she talked about was, especially when you're when you're somebody who's successful, and everybody watching tonight is successful, right? Your teachers, your principals, whatever, you've had a good career, you're educated. Oftentimes people will look at us, students will look at us, principals might look at me, teachers might look at principals and think, man, they just have it so they have all together. They're so lucky to be in the positions they have, but what they don't see is all of the hard work and failures that came along the way. So she talked about put together a resume of failure, and that's what I did. And I put it on my webpage, and it lists all the things that I've screwed up in my life, jobs I didn't get, college degrees I started, but then I quit on, girls that dumped me, athletic contests that I just was horrible at, and it really shows a part of vulnerability. And so, strangely enough, Daniel Pink's book came out this spring. He talks about resumes of failure too. So this must be a thing. I didn't realize it was that big of a thing, but it is. And so this is why I like the resume of failure. I think that it does a couple things for you. First of all, it can show the people that, if you're a principal, your teachers will enjoy seeing that you struggled to get where you are. If you're a teacher, your kids will enjoy seeing that you struggled to get where you are, that hard work can mean something. But it also reminds you that it takes hard work, that you just didn't get to the position that you're in. Dave talks in his book, and I heard him speak. I had the pleasure to hear Dave speak one time live, and he talked about this story. I can't remember who said this to him, if it was another teacher or somebody. But what they said to him was, Dave, it must be so easy for you. You're creative. And he talks about how that just drove him crazy, because what it did was it minimized all the hard work that he did, because it is hard work. And also, it put that person off the hook because, well, I'm not creative, so I don't have to work hard. Mm-hmm. And I think what a resume of failure does is it reminds us that none of us, there it is, the 6 words, and Dave tells the story obviously much better than I do. That stuck with me, Dave. It really did. And I think when you are vulnerable enough to show people that you're not all that, you're human, you make mistakes, I think it goes a long way in taking down barriers and building trust, really, with the folks that you work with or the folks that you serve.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. I love that idea of actually openly sharing your failure, like a list. And so there's something about that too, that kind of, like you said, not only does it let others know that you've made mistakes, you didn't just get there, but it also reminds you of where you came from. I mean, I think sometimes, and that can be both empowering and it also can be humbling. I think it could go both ways. But when I think about it as empowering, I think about, sometimes we're just living in the here and now. And I think sometimes we can get to a place where we wonder if our impact is actually, I know I do that sometimes. I'm like, do I even have an impact on people anymore? I don't even, I work so distant with people, and it is, it's a lot, as you climb the leadership ladder, it's harder to see the progress that's happening because of your leadership. And so no matter what business or work world you're in, but I think, seeing where you came and listing out your failures, because you often think about your successes, right? We always think about when was the last time I was able to accomplish something? Okay, what's my next accomplishment? But I think sometimes we forget to think about our failures and the things that we didn't do so well. and we overcame that and kept going and kept pushing
Mhm.
ourselves. And so I love that idea of
And I
sharing.
think it's so important to just to let people, I mean, just to constantly model that failure is fine. It's okay. It's okay to mess up. Everybody does. It's what you do after you mess up that matters. You know, if you never messed up, you'd never learn, right? You learn by making mistakes. So
For sure. Yeah, it's the process. It's a process of learning, right? It's very much a big piece of that process. And I think I like what you talked about with teachers and students. And I know a lot of times, as leaders, we are trying to take this and apply it with our staff, but also with teachers and students. I think this is so important because when students face a failure, they meet that didn't make the team or totally screwed up in the middle of the game and just flopped it from a
yeah,
whole team. When they face that, it's nice to know that you've built a culture around this idea that failure is actually a part of the learning process. And I don't know that they can get over it quicker, but at least they have that in their head. When I was a little kid, I felt like um the red marks on your paper were a really bad thing. Like not
mhm,
doing well was a bad thing, and making all A's was always the goal. Like once I
yeah.
got to a place of being able to learn and read, I always wanted to make straight A's. Like I just held myself to a high standard. And I didn't understand or really embrace this idea of failure being a part of the learning process.
And that's that growth mindset, right? That idea that that nobody's skills are finite. Um, you can always grow, right? You can always grow. You can always learn more. You can always do better, and it's okay to stub your toe every once in a while. My high school, when I was a senior in high school, I was a soccer player. Believe it or not, I'm in a football body, but I was a soccer player, and my soccer coach at the senior awards banquet said in front of everybody, "Joe does not have a lot of talent, but he tries hard." And it's like, that's on my resume of failure. It's like, hey, you know what? Yeah, I wasn't very good, but I worked hard. And I just think it's important for people to realize that, what, again, and I don't want this to sound like arrogant or whatnot, but when they see, hey, there's Mr. Superintendent here in this position, and he's got doctor in front of his name, and he does this and this and this, they just think, oh, must be so nice being him. It must be so easy, but it is just a lot of hard work, perseverance, grit, resilience, all of those things. And so that's why I put it out there. You go to drjoeclark.com. There's one of the tabs, or Joe's resume of failure. You can look at all the things that I've and I continue to add to it because I still mess up more than I should, but that's how you grow, right?
Hey, that is. I mean, if you're not messing up, are you living? I mean, I just wonder.
Exactly right.
Because like
Exactly
you
right.
said, I think on social media we're always posting what's going well, the highlight reel. This is what it is. But I even like sometimes to post my not so great workouts, like things where I've missed a lift or I failed a lift. I want people to see like every day at the gym is not amazing.
Yeah.
Every day doing this work is not amazing. It's just not.
And
I
how
love you,
important,
David. I love DBC, but there are days when it's hard. There's days when, we don't do something right, like you said.
yeah.
And I think
And we're focusing. I'm sorry, we're focusing a ton in our district on girls, particularly girls in our intermediate and middle school grades, and and the pressures on them to constantly appear to be perfect. They post something on social media and then they call their friends, hey, go like it. And I think when you have adults who share their own vulnerabilities, I think it maybe lessens the pressure on some of those kids. At least I hope it does.
and I mean, that's the goal, right? I just always hope to be like a good example. I have several of my students that are still follow me on all the socials, and I love just being able to be real. Like if I'm going to write about being real, I want to be real, like all together, all the time. And so I love this idea. I really think it's kind of a real resume. It's the realness, right? It's
Exactly
not the
right.
highlight reel. It's the REAL real.
You got it. Yeah, I love that. Not the real, it's the real. Right.
It's real.
There might be a book
We're
on
getting
that,
real. Awesome. Well, Joe, I just love this idea. I think there's so many great things that you have shared in your leadership, and especially with us in the book. And Dave was mentioning that some of the stories might have got cut. So I'm kind of curious, like, Dave, do you feel like some of them should be shared on here or what? Like, we need to share a cut story here? He's like, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know about
Which
it.
one of those stories he's talking about. I don't either. I wasn't a part of
Yeah.
that. But Joe, I'm really excited. He said no. No, I don't hear. It's probably amazing, man. You have to meet Joe in person, have coffee with him, and he can share you all this.
Yeah, we'll tell stories then.
The unedited story. I mean, the edited stories. Don't worry, I had some edited stories out.
Sean's a great guy.
There's always all right, friends. Well, thank you so much. Saving them for the sequel. That's right.
There you go.
We need a book of just all the things that got cut, because I had some stuff. I probably had 60 pages that I had to cut out. So I get it.
Yeah.
We just need to make a book of all the cuts. I mean, Dave, that could be a
that's a good idea. Right.
It really
It's
could.
like a pirate after dark, right?
I love it. That's awesome. So Joe, I guess real quick, we still have like 10 minutes, and I don't want to kind of sell too short, but if somebody wants to, if someone's going to buy your book, I just want you to maybe share, would you be willing to share just, I don't know, something that you hope the readers really gain from If the Dance Floor is Empty, Change the Song?
Yeah, for me, it really is about, and this is where I put my focus on when I hire new teachers and we do new teacher orientation and all those kinds of things. To me, it all comes down to just relationships, a sense of mission, a sense of that. When I do new teacher orientation, and I write about this in the book, I spend a lot of time, I ask the question, hey, why are you here? And of course they all say, well, I'm here because you hired me to, teach or whatever. And then I stress, no, why are you here? And you are here because we saw something in you, right? You were one of 100 applicants, and we interviewed 20, and we called references, and we hired you. And why is that? It's because you showed something in your interview that it's more than skills, right? You can learn those skills. It's that sense of mission, our belief that you care about kids, that you're willing to build relationships. And so my book talks a lot about the ways that we build relationships. There are lots of different stories of things we do about how campus for the campers, and how you want to be the second fisherman, and all those kinds of things. From my experiences as a camp director and as a DJ, it really is a lot of that. And then there's also a big portion of my book for administrators. So it's about, how do you do that from a principal's level? How do you do it from a superintendent's level? And then the last couple sections of the book are really about, okay, how do you live your life, right? How do you live a life that models these things that we want our kids to see in us? And so I tell a story about, my sister who was a teacher, and her, her fight with cancer and whatnot. And it's just, and how she, more than anybody I'd ever known, when she found out she was terminal, how she lived life more than anybody that I ever had seen in my life. She had 3 young kids. She had a second grader, a first grader, and a preschooler when she learned that she had about a year to live. And what did she do? She traveled around to all these places that were meaningful to her. Her first job, her first date, the sliding board that she fell off and cut her knee. And she videotaped it and told stories on video for her kids to watch later on, because she wanted her story to go on. So I talk a lot about her and how inspirational that is for how we should live our life. That, we all have stories to tell, and it's always better if you tell your own story. Right. And the other thing we talk a lot about is we're going to be characters in everybody's stories also. When people go to their class reunion 20 years from now, and you have them, they had you as a teacher, they're going to talk about you. Mm-hmm. The adjectives they use to describe you is completely up to you. How do you treat them? how are you interacting with kids? It is absolutely much more than content. It is that connection. And so we spend a lot of time in the book just giving some stories about how to do that.
I agree. I couldn't agree. I love that. I love that story, but I just love all the stories. And as you can see, as you're reading this book, you will feel like you're just chatting with Joe over coffee and learning all these things. And at the same time, reflecting upon your own life and your own relationships and how you interact with others. I like Sean's takeaways here from Dance Floor. His takeaways were passion, flexibility, and being student centered. And I think that is like, if I was the author, I'd be so proud of that reflection. So I know that you are as well, Joe. And Dave has also put the book up here. Please do click this link. You can read the first few chapters for free. Just scroll all the way down and click the preview. And then Joe, if they want to follow you on social media, where can they find you?
Yeah, most of my social media is Twitter, which is at Dr. Joe Clark. That's my personal one. I have one for my superintendent gig for snow days and stuff. That's at Joe Superintend One, but that's just Nordonia school stuff. For me and my thoughts and that at Dr. Joe Clark. And also my website is drjoeclark.com. And I do a newsletter maybe once a month, once every other month that you can subscribe to by going to my website. And again, you can also see my resume of failure there. And by the way, if you know me personally and you look at my resume of failure and you know that there's stuff I left off, just let me know and I'll put it. I'm sure there's lots of things that I censored myself about, but I'm not too proud to put those on there too.
So DM him if you know a failure that he's missing out.
Hey,
I'm not going to open that up for you guys for me. I think I can figure them out.
Yeah. I talk all the time about my family. One of my biggest prides, I'm the youngest of 11, right? My dad and my uncle were identical twins. We lived next door to each other, and he had 11 too. So there's 22 of us running around on this compound. And when you are the youngest of 22 kids, you realize very quickly how little you mean in the big scope of things. They keep you really well grounded. And I think that, and you also get a really good sense
in the book.
Yeah.
You talk about that in the book too.
Yeah. My family's amazing. My parents, neither one of them went to college. All 11 of us are college graduates. There are 3 PhDs and a bunch of master's degrees. And it's all because of the lessons my parents taught about hard work and that.
So awesome. Well, Joe, it's always a pleasure to chat with you. I love having you on this show. And I love If the Dance Floor is Empty, Change the Song. Like, if you have not read this book and you are looking for a summer read, you need to grab it. Just grab it. If you win it tomorrow, you can just give that to a teacher friend. So just click the link above or below this video and be sure to follow Joe. And if you start to read the book, be sure and tweet about it, share about it. He's so approachable. As you can tell, he's very passionate about building relationships, not only with his staff, but with his PLN and his community out on social media too. So we are so happy to have you on the show, Joe. And we're so happy to have you in our DBC Inc. family. So thank you for joining us today.
I'm proud to be a part of it. You guys are awesome. And I'm so indebted and grateful to you for giving this book a shot. I'm really proud of it. And I'm proud to be part of the DBC family. So thank you.
You are so welcome. We love having you here. And thanks everyone for joining. Karen, thanks for joining. Thanks for your sweet comments about the videos and the presentations. We really love that you're joining us on Thursday nights and all that are here tonight. Sean, Lisa, Kristen, if I missed you, I'm so sorry. And I'm so happy that you're here. Thanks again for joining us. And if you make a resume a failure, share it out. We'd love to hear more about that and tag Joe. So thanks again. We'll be back next Thursday, same place, same time, different guest. And I can't wait to chat with you guys again. Also be on the lookout. Oh, sorry, my dog just jumped up here. Be on the lookout for that new winner. We will post that tomorrow. So be sure and check back on this thread and we will have a new winner for If the Dance Floor is Empty, Change the Song. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Tara. Take care.